it makes you not just want to do something. I don't think you can live with yourself and you don't do something. I mean, it's that powerful.
United States gets a full 4-year scholarship to Stanford University, then you would be talking about $152 billion.
Yeah, it's impossible to even grasp if you don't lay it out like that, and because it's a little more than I make, so I can't possibly even fathom that amount of money. And then the number of people, organizations, businesses, cartels, all of those that are involved that have a stake in it now is what makes it difficult to make the movie, to get out there and tell people about it. But average Joe and Susie, when they see this, they're moved to say, this could be my kid. I think that's the part they got across. Anybody that's a parent or a grandparent, you start going, this could happen to my family, and probably has happened to somebody in your neighborhood, in your church, in your community. I think that's the other thing you bring home is, hey, this is not some just third world country problem. This is in the United States.
Over 300,000 kids under the ages of 18 are lured into the sex trade. 300. We're the biggest consumers of it in the world, in the United States. So, what you can do, the audience, first of all, this is a phenomenal film. It's the best film I've done since Passion. So you're going to get highest quality when you see it. We're trying to give these kids back their freedom on Independence Day or Independence Week. By showing up, you're bringing a big light to this. You're bringing a big light to the border. Do you not understand that we don't have a south border? And by definition, we're celebrating the 4th of July, and we have no country.
Yeah.
That's right. A sovereign country has to have borders, and we don't have a south border. So, by going, you're bringing a lot of attention to this. They don't want it. They don't want this around. That's why we had such a hard time getting this out. But by going to the film and telling your friends, now if you love the film, tell your friends. We want to make this the most important film. That this is what all movies were made to be, to either be propaganda, like Joseph Goebbels, the head propagandist for the Nazis, who helped Hitler make, with Leni Riefenstahl, Triumph of the Will, or we can make something that exposes what this evil is, and it's in our government. It's in these three-letter agencies that are refusing to do anything about it.
韓国の人がいるでしょ、おばさんがいつも。韓国のおばさん。
そうじゃ。
違う、今ここのジム。サウナ浴びるときいつも韓国のおばさんいるでしょ。スウェーしたりするでしょ。サウナすごい長い間入る人いるよ。知ってる？今日出たの？最後までクラス。
いたよ。
It's sold out. Okay, well, I'm just going to give my money to Disney. Okay? That's what's going to end up happening. You'll go to a movie, but you won't go to our film. You've got to see this film, and you've got to call in. It's just a real simple thing. And we want to put such a light on this that they're going to have to recognize it. All the politicians are going to have to recognize it, and it's got to be people-driven.
Yeah.
The government's not going to do it. It's got to be us.
And Jim, just the easiest way, tell me if I'm doing this right. When I go to angel.com, there's an easy box right there for Sound of Freedom. Click on that. So angel.com, folks, it's easy to remember. Angel Studios, it's where we got The Chosen and all these other great things they've done. Angel.com, and then right there you can click on buy tickets for Sound of Freedom, and you can pre-purchase your tickets for next week, which is, it'll be, July 4th, I guess, is the official opening, but some theaters have it that night before on the 3rd. You can get it for throughout the week. And you're saying if we do what, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions are going to do before next week, then that, when we fill up those theaters ahead of time, they get it, they're watching it, they see that, and they go, okay, it's, we got to spill over. Now we need this theater down the road. And that means more people watch it, more people see the story, more people take action.
We're on the verge of being a major blockbuster right now.
Yeah.
And it can happen. And people just say, I never pre-ordered. If you could, it'll open those theaters up, and it will just, this is exactly what they don't want. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, man, I don't want to see a movie about trafficking. Let me explain something. This is an inspirational film.
Yeah.
At Christmas, I'm going to pick a dark film. When you hear the words, "It's a Wonderful Life," you think, oh, yeah, it's a happy film. Well, it's actually not. This guy that's going to commit suicide, Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
And he gets saved by an angel. He doesn't see the good he's done in his life. And this angel showed him without him, these people don't live. When you watch this movie, without Tim Ballard, this hero, he became a hero because he did the right thing.
Yeah.
He's basically, it's like the Bible, the story, Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like a pearl. You'd sell everything to gain that one pearl. That's what Tim Ballard did. And without him, these little kids die. So I know some of you say, well, I can't do what Tim did. Well, but what is your purpose in this life? What is my purpose? And I weaponized by a whole culture by, showing a Jesus that we had never seen before and what really happened to him, and really changed a lot of lives. Yes, it was worth the pain and suffering it took to do this film, but I felt like if we all take a part in this, we can really do a number to this world's devil, which is in this trafficking, and it's far bigger than that. But this is the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And we've started, and the line that we use over and over in the film, that God's children are no longer for sale.
Yeah.
And when God tells you to do something, you don't hesitate.
Amen. Well, I'm so glad you addressed that about, because my wife said the exact same thing after we saw it. She's like, so many people need to see this that I think will be afraid to go see it because they're afraid of the emotional drain and the difficulty of dealing with this topic, and they have no idea that it's an inspirational movie. And so you use exactly the right word. It's actually an inspirational movie that shows you that lives can be saved and what a difference it makes when we're willing to do that.
The public has to be awakened to the fifth generation war. We are at war.
Yeah.
This is the war that has to be fought and must be won. We cannot lose our republic, and we certainly cannot hand over our children.
Amen. Amen. Jim, God bless you, man. Thank you for taking on the tough fights. And
Thank you.
yeah, we really appreciate it, and we want as many people as possible to see it. Angel.com is the website, and we'll of course have links at Wall Builders today and make it easy for you to get over there. We're encouraging everybody, and you can buy tickets for other people. You can actually pay it forward. Cool tool on there. Jim, God bless you, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
All right, folks, quick break. We'll be right back later in the program today. We've got Congressman Barry Loudermilk joining us. You're listening to At the Core with Walker Wildman and Rick Green.
For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. My name is Abraham Hamilton III, and this is the Hamilton Minute. God initiated human history and defined for all time what marriage is, and identified the only two types of candidates that comprise a marriage, one man and one woman. He also identified the archetypical union from which these candidates would derive. The prospective husband and wife both come from the ancestral unit of a father and mother. Though Adam and Eve didn't have biological parents, this pronouncement reveals God had particularized specifics in mind as to what he ordained fathers and mothers to be. Fallenness didn't change God's plan.
Listen each weekday from 5 to 6 p.m. Central for the Hamilton Corner, or visit the podcast page at afr.net for more from Abraham Hamilton III, Public Policy Analyst for the American Family Association.
This is Raising Godly Girls Minute with Patty Garibay of American Heritage Girls. At the end of a hard day, most of us
us just want to vent. By expressing our frustrations, we feel a sense of cathartic relief. Although your daughter doesn't have any daunting tales of rude coworkers or flat tires on the side of the road, she definitely has moments of disappointment to share. Allowing her to vent to you shows your daughter that you are a safe space, a person in whom she can confide. Instead of simply asking, "How was your day?" consider asking, "What was the most frustrating part of your day today?" Be ready to listen and validate her feelings. Galatians instructs believers to share one another's burdens. Allowing your daughter to vent alleviates some emotional weight and serves as an important bedrock of trust in your relationship.
We are all called to raise up the next generation of Christian leaders. Learn more about empowering girls at raisinggodlygirls.com. Hey friends, it's Jessica Peck, Dr. Nurse Mama, as your 1-minute parenting coach. Are you in some brutal days of teen parenting? Do you long for the good old days when you were their world, the sun, moon, and stars, when they still gave you hugs, when they fought bedtime, but at least they were home safe and sound? Here's the truth. We can't love a younger version of who our child used to be more than who they are becoming. When teens are least lovable, they need love the most. Our teens should never feel like we see this stage of parenting as disappointing and undesirable. Our teens should never feel guilty for growing up. We can enjoy the past and use it to celebrate the present with faith in the future. I'll see you on the Dr. Nurse Mama podcast here on American Family Radio.
At the Core podcasts are available at AFR.net. Now, back to At the Core on American Family Radio.
We're back. Thanks for staying with us here on At the Core with Walker Wildman and Rick Green. I know that last interview, it's a tough one to get through, but thank you to Jim Caviezel for joining us and doing the movie. Sound of Freedom is the name of the movie. Be sure to visit angel.com. Angel.com. Click on the link. You can buy tickets. If you can't go to the movie next week, you can buy tickets for somebody else and give it away. You can pay it forward, but now is the time to do it because it'll help them, as Jim was saying, get into more theaters. All right, I'm thrilled about our next interview as well. Always good to have Congressman Barry Loudermilk, our good friend from Georgia, and one of the great ones in Washington, D.C., with the finger in the dike, standing there, fighting, and helping to save our country. Barry, God bless you, brother. Thanks so much for some time today.
Rick, it's always my pleasure. It's good to be with you.
Well, we appreciate you and appreciate you being on the front lines there and just continuing to stand for truth and stand for the principles of liberty. And just glad to have somebody that actually knows civics and actually understands these things. So I appreciate that as well. A little bit different topic today, though. This video that came out of some police officers from, I guess they're D.C. officers that are in plain clothes and literally participating, encouraging a lot of the crazy stuff that happened on January 6th. And you've been commenting on this. Apparently it was leaked and it's on Rumble. And I guess you guys might have already been briefed on it. And so now you can talk about it since it's been leaked. But tell us, what is this video? And is it actually a police officer?
Well, that's a great question. And chairing this committee that is looking into what really happened on January 6th, we're just looking for the truth. So we're taking... we've got not only the 44,000 hours of video surveillance, we also have, now we have some body cam footage from Metropolitan Police. And so we've been taking, if it's on the internet, there is tons of theories over one video, right? And so we're taking every aspect, every piece of information or evidence or theory, and I'm basically using, apologetics. Is I tell my team, try to prove every one of these false. Because if you work to prove a theory true, you'll prove it true every time because you'll discredit information that's contrary to what your idea is. That's pretty much what the January 6th Select Committee did. So we take every piece of evidence and we go to try to prove it false. If we can't prove it false, then it turns out to be true. And this is one of those that the video was on Rumble. It was sent to us by an attorney. That video was referenced in a court filing that was an undercover police officer that was encouraging people to go into the Capitol. And so we started investigating it, started looking at it. We could find references into some the surveillance camera, but you couldn't really identify who it is because the person's wearing a body camera. In this case, it was a GoPro. So we just sent a letter to the Metropolitan Police Department as chairman of the subcommittee, asking if they would provide to us all electronic information they had, videos, GoPros, body cams, anything that they had of anyone who was responding to the incidents on January 6th. And the Metropolitan Police cooperated. And with the information they sent to us was that same video, but in its full length. So that in itself confirmed that this was a Metropolitan Police officer and part of their electronic surveillance unit who was embedded in the crowd. Wow. We're trying to figure out, why is this guy doing it? So I even take the approach of, well, maybe he's trying to get up to where the breach happened to help his other officers, so he's just encouraging people to go. Well, we've been able to now find this person on the Capitol Police surveillance footage as well. And when he gets up to the top, he doesn't help anyone. He just turns and casually walks away and then goes back down Constitution Avenue. Very strange incident. So it's pressuring us to even dig further. Why do you have a police officer wearing civilian clothes embedded into the crowd, even fist bumps another guy that's wearing a skull mask as he's going in, like he knows this guy? So we're taking it to the next step, saying, why do you have someone encouraging people to violate the law?
No kidding. Well, let me first say thank you for the intellectual honesty and intellectual curiosity with which you are sharing this, and the approach that you guys are taking. If everyone in law enforcement and in elected office had done it that way from the beginning, what a different outcome we would have, instead of it feeling like the Rorschach fire of 1933, where it's just political persecution coming out of this thing. It would have been, okay, we can find who the bad guys and the good guys were, instead of labeling everybody as bad guys. And so I just this whole approach, I think it would have been so much better for the country if we had been doing that, from the get-go 2.5 years ago, or 2 years and 5 months ago, whatever it is. So thank you for that. And then in terms of just timing, what a shame that it took you guys having to get in the majority to be able to get access to this stuff and be able to do this type of investigation, because so much pain could have been saved, I think, over time. But I just appreciate the fact that y'all are doing it. I just wish we could have done it sooner. What is the next, I guess you guys just have to keep digging, and what would you say, like 40,000 hours? That's a lot of hours to have to go through. I mean, how do you even needle in a haystack? How do you approach this, Barry?
Well, it is. It's overwhelming. Not only is it 44,000 hours of surveillance video footage. Now, the January 6th Select Committee kept saying there was only 14,000 hours, and that's what they made available to defense attorneys. When I received access to it, I found out there's 44,000 hours. So why did they not allow them to see all of this? And so we're allowing defense attorneys to come in and see the full 44,000 hours. We also have 2 million printed pages of information and about 2 to 4 terabytes of digital information. So our first task, it was overwhelming. It was trying to put all this together. The Select Committee, believe it or not, they didn't index anything. So we had to go in. It was like putting together a 1,000-piece puzzle with the wrong picture. Okay, because their report does not reflect what the evidence shows. I mean, the Select Committee's report was a manifesto against Trump. I mean, that's what they wanted. That's all they reported. They cherry-picked evidence. We go into it, and there's a lot more evidence that apparently they ignored. But what we're finding out right now, Rick, is we don't have everything. By law, they were supposed to preserve everything and turn everything over to me. Like, for one thing, from watching the Hollywood production that the January 6th put on, if you watched any of their hearings, they would show videos of depositions. We have the transcribed depositions. We don't have any of the videos. So that raised some red flags. Then we started finding some letters that was referencing other documents that were handed over to the White House and were not preserved. So, and then there's another aspect that the Select Committee was broken up into teams. And there was a team called the Blue Team, and their task was to look into basically what we're doing is, how did the failure occur? Where was the breakdown of security? That good, bad, or indifferent, how did somebody get into the Capitol? How was there that much violence that took place that we did not respond properly? That was what the blue team was supposed to be looking into. You know, we don't have anything from the blue team. It's like they never existed. We have maybe a couple of documents that reference something of the blue team, but I have talked to a contractor who worked with the blue team and has confirmed that there is a lot of evidence and a lot of information that they produced. Where is that? And that makes me to believe if we don't have any of that, and that was purposely suppressed, there must have been something they found out that somebody didn't want the American people to know. And that's what we're looking into. We know there was an intelligence failure within the Capitol Police. We know that there was actionable intelligence, the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security had that there was going to be an attack on the Capitol by some extremists with the intent of taking over the Capitol. But yet when that very information came to the intelligence division of the U.S. Capitol Police, it never went any further. The chief of police wasn't even briefed on this. And so that's where we're focusing right now is where's this information we don't have, and what happened? Was this intelligence purposely suppressed, or was it just a major mess up, incompetence? Either way, there's a major cover up that we're looking into.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I can't tell you, brother, how glad I am that you have this specific role. I mean, I've always been glad you've been there. I was glad when you were in the Senate in Georgia. I mean, you've always been a great public servant, but I don't. This is not an exaggeration, folks listening. I mean, the fate of our judicial system and a system of biblical justice, not two-tier justice like we've been experiencing, depends on getting this right. And so the fact that you are there and doing this is huge. Now, I feel sorry for, Desiree. I mean, it's like, hey, what Saturday night movie we're going to watch? Well, we've got another 42,000 hours to watch, baby. We're gonna watch some more. No, I'm kidding. I hope you guys y'all get a break and get to do something else besides that. But I can't imagine how daunting the task is for you and your team. And so we're going to be lifting you up in prayer and just praying for really wisdom and discernment, because you got so many rabbit trails you could go down on this thing. You've got to decide what the priorities are. So it's a massive responsibility.
Absolutely.
We recognize that for you and praying for that. Let me go this direction with you. What do you do with all of this once you do get to the bottom of it? Because the narrative, the die has been cast, and the narrative has been told so much over and over and over again by all of the major media and by all the speeches from Biden and Harris and the rest. How do you counter that as you uncover these truths that are different from the narrative? How do you get that out there?
Well, it's interesting, Rick, because so far we pretty much have initially was condemned by the mainstream media because here's, as most people know, I was falsely accused of participating in this by giving reconnaissance tours on January the 5th. It was a ridiculous charge.
Wow.
And so the media went nuts.
And by the way, for our listeners out there that know David and I do these tours at the Capitol, that's the type of tours that you do, these spiritual heritage tours. You take people through and you show them the history of our country. That's the type of tours that Barry Loudermilk does. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly, but in this case, the Capitol was closed. Never went to the Capitol. We just had constituents that came in. And I took them to lunch in the cafeteria of one of the office buildings and took them back home. That was about the extent of it.
Yeah.
So the January 6th committee wanted this it would fit into their overall narrative well. So they manufactured some evidence. They edited some other evidence. I mean, they really put this narrative together. But even the Capitol Police dispelled it almost immediately. So there was nothing even suspicious here. But then the January 6th committee doubled down on it. So it was a nightmare for a while, but I know in the book of Matthew it says, when you're accused falsely.
よかったね。